Foot pedal activation is the most widely used activation style for Bradley wash fountains. To troubleshoot a wash fountain, it's best to use a process of elimination. If you can eliminate a few issues, what you're usually left with is the problem. This video will cover the issues when the unit won't turn on, when the unit leaks, and when the unit won't turn off. The first step, and this is going to seem like a no-brainer, is to ensure that the water supply is actually turned on. Many times when the wash fountain doesn't work, people will turn it off if the supply stops, and somebody else usually comes in to do the service. So I know it sounds like a no-brainer, but we want to definitely make sure that the water supply is turned on to the wash fountain. When you're not getting water to the wash fountain, there are generally three areas to look at. One of them includes the operating lever and foot pedal linkage system. The second one includes the foot valve, and the third is the thermostatic mixing valve assembly. With the water on, check the operating lever and the components of the foot pedal by manually moving the brass operating lever up or down with your hand to see if the water activates. If it does, you know the foot pedal is operating properly and you can cross this off the list. Next, step on the foot pedal to see if the valve opens and closes properly. This will tell you if the linkage system is intact and properly activating the brass operating lever as it should. If it works, you can move the path number 2. If it doesn't, there are 3 things to check. First, check that each of the springs and components of the inside foot levers are not damaged or broken. Second, check the operating cross in the middle and make sure screws are tight and it's installed correctly. And third, check the operating rod assembly. It's factory preset in the right position, but it may need to be adjusted. Make sure there is not too much slack from the operating rod that prevents it from engaging the brass lever. Here I have an operating rod assembly. To adjust the spring assembly, loosen the set screws using a 5/16 inch wrench and reposition the assembly so it's a snug fit with the operating lever. From here, you can move on to path 2. If you push up the brass lever with your hand and it doesn't move, and you'll know it, you can try as hard as you can, then the issue is most likely with the foot valve, the area with the blue cap. The cap may be a different color in older models. Turn the water off at the check stops, then unscrew the cap and take out the spring and plunger assembly. You may need a bucket to collect the water that spills out. In most cases, the issue is with the yellow plunger. The tiny hole in the plunger can get plugged up with grease or debris. Simply clean off any grease or debris and put the plunger back in, and most likely this will solve the issue. The third and final path to check is the thermostatic mixing valve or manual mixing valve. For a thermostatic mixing valve, if the thermostat has failed, the valve will close and will not pass water. To check the thermostat, unscrew the brass nut at the end of the valve and pull out the parts. Reinstall the cap with those parts removed. Now it's not a thermostatic valve anymore, it's simply a T that lets water pass through. You have no control over temperature. If you get a full flow of water, then you know the problem is the thermostatic valve, which you can fix with repair kit part number S65418. If the wash fountain has a manual mixing valve, it'll look like this. Remove the bonnet nut, clean the parts inside, and if the parts are broken, fix it with repair kit S45197. You can also check the volume control on the valve that controls how far the spray shoots out. It's rare, but the volume control valve could be turned down so low that it appears that the wash fountain isn't working. A final note to check is the spray heads themselves. Most spray heads are designed to flex as water comes out, and that's supposed to break off any mineral deposits that build up. It doesn't always happen. If you see a lot of mineral buildup, clean it off with a quarter, a rag, or a piece of Scotch-Brite. By going down these 3 paths, you should be able to troubleshoot the wash fountain that does not provide water. If there is a leak, it's most likely going to be coming from the foot valve due to a torn diaphragm or debris on the diaphragm preventing it from seating properly. To check the diaphragm, remove the nut by the operating lever. Here is the valve diaphragm. You want to check it for any nicks and cuts and remove any debris that may be on the surface. If the diaphragm does need to be replaced, use repair kit S65-230. Now if the water doesn't shut off, first look at the foot valve linkage system to see if it's out of adjustment, stuck, or if there's something just physically pushing up on the rod and activating the operating lever. If it's not, check the operating lever and manually open and close it to see if there's something inside the valve preventing the yellow plunger from turning it off. It could be a rock or a piece of debris washed up in there, and by manually operating it, you can break it loose and then it'll work. If the unit is still running, make sure you turn the water off and check the valve. Remove the cap and take out the parts and check the condition of the seat inside the valve. Before reassembly of the foot valve, be sure to check the bib washer along the plunger assembly for any nicks or cuts or any debris. If any parts within the foot valve assembly need to be replaced, use repair kit number S65-230. These are the steps to follow to troubleshoot a wash fountain that won't shut off.